We're back at Still Africa Business Radio's Breakfast Connect here on a Friday. It's International Day of Families. Just another reminder. I'm Abimbola and...
I'm Rachel.
All right. So we're going into the fact sheet right now. It's time for another look into that. But first, let me tell a story.
Oh, please, story time.
Yeah, this one is titled The Rumor. Now, in ancient Greece, about between 469 and 399 BC, Socrates was widely commended for his wisdom. One day, the great philosopher came upon an acquaintance who ran up to him excitedly and said, "Socrates, do you know what I just heard about one of your students?" But before the acquaintance could continue, the great philosopher stopped him, saying, "Wait a moment. Before you tell me, I'd like you to pass a little test. It's called the test of 3. Test of 3, replied the acquaintance, and Socrates said, "Yes, that's correct. Before you talk to me about my student, let's take a moment to test what you're going to say." Now, the first test is truth. Have you made absolutely sure that what you're about to tell me is true? "No," the man replied. "Actually, I just heard about it." "All right," said Socrates. "So you don't really know if it's true or not. Now, let's try the second test. The test of goodness. Is what you're about to tell me about my student something good?" "No, on the contrary," said the acquaintance. So Socrates continued. "You want to tell me something bad about him even though you are not certain it's true?" The man shrugged, a little embarrassed. Socrates continued. "You may still pass though, because there is still a third test. Now, it's called the filter of usefulness. Is what you want to tell me about my student going to be useful to me?" "No, not really," muttered the acquaintance. "Well," concluded Socrates, "if what you want to tell me is neither true, nor good, nor even useful, why tell it to me at all?" The man was defeated and ashamed, and he said no more. Now, this is the reason Socrates was a great philosopher and was held in such high esteem. Continues the story. It also explains why Socrates never found out that Plato was having an affair with his wife.
Oh, okay.
Now, an interesting story about spreading rumors, you might say. Maybe. But did you notice something in that story, Rachel? The last line of that story.
I did.
The story had just gone ahead to spread a rumor about Plato having an affair with Socrates' wife. Now, is it true that Plato was a student of Socrates? Yes. Is it true Socrates was a great philosopher? Of course. But did Plato sleep with Socrates' wife without his teacher knowing?
Without his teacher knowing?
Yes.
It wasn't confirmed in the story.
Now, that's part of what we'll be discussing today. Starting a rumor by hiding it between facts. Today we'll be talking about the information apocalypse. And as usual, our expert is in the house. David Ajokobi, the Nigerian editor of Africa Check, joins us. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Bimbo. How are you doing?
Fantastic. So, David, you heard our story.
I heard this story. Very, very interesting one. Very interesting.
So, did Plato sleep with Socrates' wife?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see a wrestling rare. So that's yeah, you know.
But,
and you also know that you also have to understand that, you know, even with history, you have to be very careful.
Yes.
Yeah, because you see, people can tend to write historical facts from a subjective perspective. And we've seen it in the history of different countries countries with very controversial past, where there's been civil wars or there's been unrest or things like that. So where certain events in history have been deliberately blotted out in the historical facts of that country. Yes.
All right. So the information apocalypse. This might be a bit tough. I understand it might be tough to illustrate without visuals, but try to paint a picture for us. What is the information apocalypse about?
Well, essentially, so right now, we're at the point where we've established that we're at the point where we are experiencing what we call the information overload. Now, like some apocalyptic movie, we are saying that if from an overload, we might be getting to an apocalypse. An apocalypse essentially is basically a breakdown in law and order, and everything just, basically what Ajokobi calls things fall apart. The center can no longer hold, and things fall apart. But the thing here is the catalyst of what might be an information apocalypse is that it will be technology. Now, we are looking at a case where, so for example, let's say Miss Bigby is in her house and she decides to spread a rumor and confirm rumor. It's Miss Bigby. It can go viral, but you can somehow trace it back to Miss Bigby. It's pretty much organic. But we're not saying that. We're saying that, look, if AI, that is artificial intelligence, which is not a bad thing. If AI, I'll go to the other one later. If AI, for example, are now being deployed by people who have malicious intent to spread misinformation, then if they treat it in such a way that they want to use it for their intentions, then we can see that can be very, 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 very. You can imagine what will happen. It means that you have machine learning, a sort of machine learning driven fake news generation, environments where, and that way it will be harder for anybody to do anything about it. And the other part is the deepfakes. If we begin to have machine learning or AI generated deepfakes. What are deepfakes? Deepfakes are essentially videos that have been manipulated to mirror somebody or to mirror a personality, and the history of deepfakes have a very, very funny history.
Wow.
I remember it was used in the pornography industry to match the faces of celebrities on porn actors, such that people will actually believe, this celebrity X was actually doing this with, and that was actually the beginning of deepfake. But now we've seen the deployment, and you saw what Stephen Peel did with it, what the digital man Zuckerberg and things like that, and so you can see that people have moved away from that using it that way, so actually using it, and then some of them have been very. You can tell. You can tell from uncoordinated uncoordinated blinks, concerted mouth pronunciations and things like that, or even from general facial expressions and things like that. Some of them might look very mechanical. But we see that some people are getting very, very good at it. It's just the same way CGI in Hollywood, in the movie industry, is very, very good. People can actually. So you can imagine somebody who has a very high skill CGI or effect or something, sit down to manipulate a video. We saw that one on Nancy Pelosi in the US.
Yeah.
I must say that fortunately for us, we have not been so much inundated by this in Africa. But yes, like I said, that's the idea about information apocalypse. That it's a fear that when they're not, the center that can no longer hold, and technology is a scenario where deepfakes, fake news are automatic and are being generated. Already we have something like that. We can think about the Russian bots, the Chinese bots, being used, and the way the bots work are actually quite interesting. the bots themselves don't generate the fake news.
Okay.
So the fake news is generated organically, like because it's targeted, it's deliberate, it's disinformation. So if I wanted to spread something about, it's like, let's look at the elections coming in Nigeria, I wanted to spread some false information about a particular candidate or a smear campaign, like what Kevin Generation did. So what I could possibly do was I would generate, or my organization would generate that fake news, then put it on Twitter and deploy the bots. So what the bots will do is the bots will keep retweeting, engaging, retweeting to a point where it tweets, like a curve. When it reaches the top of the curve, it gains an organic traction. Because a lot of people would have seen it being tweeted and everywhere, and it's trending on Twitter. Why is this trending on Twitter? And you know how it is. Once you see something trending, some people want to know want to see it trending, believe it is true.
It's true, yeah.
You understand? Yes. And then when they reach the top of that bell-shaped curve, they stop. The bots automatically just stop. You understand? And then what you see is that people are the ones that now begin to retweet, engage. They take that papers down to the bottom of the bell-shaped curve. So that's essentially how bots work. So that's why you see that they will trend and they will go. They are only it's like a catalyst in a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
It will help it happen. It will help that reaction happen.
Without being part of the reaction.
Without being part of it. And after a while, the catalyst would, the catalyst is not part of the reaction. Or in some cases, the catalyst will just dissolve away or something. Yeah. That's how it works. So the fear is that when you put a scenario of bots, AI, machine learning, deepfake, all being coordinated, remotely or being used to promote or spread disinformation and disinformation, then we could be talking about an apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, deepfakes. I'll just encourage our listeners. If you've not heard about it before, Google deepfakes. Scary stuff. Very, very scary stuff. Sometimes you cannot make out the real from the unreal. The one I saw about Obama, 4 Obamas, and the guy making the presentation asked the audience which one is the real Obama, and I'll leave you to watch it, and then you can make up your mind. But those things are scary if that's where we're going, and people need to be very, very careful. Now, talking about the center. You've talked about, things falling apart, and we as journalists, you as fact checkers, we have the responsibility to be that center, that holds. And some people now seem, to be helping our job by creating plugins, or ways by which, we can ensure that, the center does hold. Over the past year, a growing number of initiatives have been launched, with the aim of helping us navigate the post-truth world. Now, can you tell us a bit about, these things, that help the center do its job?
Okay, so essentially, going as what you just said, so what are essentially browser plugins? They are, from what the name actually, they're essentially like plugs and this software that plug onto your browser, that you install onto your browser, and it helps you, basically allows the web browser to display additional content. It was not originally designed to display. So essentially, plugins can help you pimp up your browser and things like that. And let me just give you a bit of context. Yes, the idea behind having plugins to detect fake news or debunk fake news
in real time.
In real time, I've actually been in the works for a long time. Ever since back in the day of Microsoft Firefox, Firefox, yes. And the idea was that okay, so then the idea was that if people are on their laptops or whatever it is, and even on Chrome, and they are browsing and they are looking at all sorts of content and everything, how do we create plugins to actually help them to learn, or to mirror certain? So, for example, I can mention a few for you. There are the new ones, like for example, there are some new ones like Surface Save, Soft Save, Reality Defender, InVideo. I have about 4 of them on my computer. There's a fake news debunker by InVid. There's a WeVerify plugin. There's a Google a plugin, like a Google reverse image search plugin for Google Chrome. There's a plugin for RevEye, which is essentially a reverse image search tool that searches Google, Yandex, and other non-Google database. There's a Google plugin for RevEye, which also does Google. I'm sure that people don't know that there are other databases that are apart from Google. Anyways.
Yeah.
So that one also goes. You also have to search to Google, Bing, Yandex, and other and even some other Chinese database search engines. So that's today. So actually, they work in different ways, but the ones that we've seen that are the most effective are, it's particularly the ones that help you to reverse image searches. So essentially, what you do is you see a picture on your laptop, you're not sure. Other than just going to go and opening Google and start doing, all you have to do is click on the picture and then it takes you, it just delivers the search for you. So that's essentially the idea of the plugin. Some have been quite ambitious, in the sense that they've said, we would, once you open a fake news on your website, on your web page, it automatically flags. But then like I said, they've been ambitious. But then it's hard to do. All those kind of tools have actually been struggling in the sense that there might be real information embedded in fake news. Yeah. Do you understand? There might be fake news embedded in real information. Yeah. So what that does is that even for the plugins, it's hard for them to learn those patterns, because writing patterns are different, contexts are different. So just to mention that there's been no general one major plugins. We use different plugins for different reasons, with varying level of success. So when you say what I think right now, technology is trying to catch up. A lot of people are developing tools, including plugins. But then the question I want to push back to you, Abimbola, is that as you and I know, plugins are essentially for mobile browsers and browsers in browser extension. What about in a case where we are now seeing that a lot of people are accessing more information on their mobile phones than even on website or web on browsers? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the question would be, some of these browsers, some of these plugins might not have mobile versions where you can actually have those plugins on your Google Chrome. Many of them are Google Chrome specific. So imagine. So it's what I'm trying to say is that media consumption patterns are changing very fast, and they're changing away from. You and I can work from our phone. You can do this show from your phone. So we are going more mobile. So the idea would be that those tools, plugins or whatever, should be much more lighter. Not just for journalists, not just for the center, like you said, but not just for journalists, but even other consumers, general public, so that they are lighter and they are easy to use. So, for example, Labnon, which is a Google reverse image search tool, if you have it on your phone, you can actually, either iPhone or Chrome, you can actually do it live you can do it from your phone. But some of same for Tin High and RevEye. But some of the reverse image searches are not actually with the mobile version. You understand? You literally have to go 5, 6 steps or 7 steps before you get to the answer. And the idea is that we say that when you do that, we discourage people from using those tools. Any tool should be very easy to use. Within 2-3 steps, you get there, you do it, and you have the right information.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge we have. But like I said, technology is really trying to double. The space is really trying to double effort to how do we. A lot of people are thinking about different things. So that would be what's most effective. And don't forget also, people, that I'm always very specific about what works for us in Africa. What works for us in Africa.
Yeah.
while you are listening to all of the conversations around, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what's being done, this is what's being done, I am always like, how do we deploy these things in Africa? You know, you can sit in some very nice laboratory in San Francisco, you know, number 4 something, and develop something very nice, and it works in the US, it works in the UK, you know, probably some parts of Europe, and then it comes to Africa, and then you train 500 people how to use it, and that's it. And that's it. So I always look at, you know, how, you know, what challenges do we face? I mean, you're talking to a journalist who maybe are not being paid, then, you know, telling how to do reverse image search, you know. So we really have to make a case for the use of these tools. We have to make a case for technology deployment. We have to make a case for, you know, even from people who are listening to us, who are listening to the show, we have to make a case to them to download these tools. I mean, think about it. This is an Africa where how many people can afford to buy 10 gig data on their phones every month? Some people will buy 10 gig and they will manage it for like 2 months. You understand? They don't even want to hear, you want to tell them to download. Once you get some people to download, before you say the load finish, they'll tell you, say, no, I don't have it. I don't have data. You understand? So our complexity is not like there's Wi-Fi everywhere. So our complexities are different, and we have to. So you can imagine. So if you are if you are developing a tool or a plugin or something, whatever it is, in America where it is, you know, it sucks data and all that. When you come to Africa, you think about no, this can't work. This can't work. You know, if you're doing a tool that you need some basic level of tech skills to use it, and you're coming to Africa, you can't work with journalists. That's the truth. You have to. I'm not saying we dominate everything down, but our complexities are different. Our realities are different. So that's it.
All right. So, what are some of the debunked facts that you have for us this week?
Okay. This week,
I can say, you know, I can just imagine you rubbing your fingers like, rubbing your palms. Like, all right, let's get down to it.
Let's get down to it.
You're a typical example, you know, of you've heard the joke about a Yoruba man. When the Yoruba man wants to start, you know, when there's something serious, he wants to say, When the Yoruba man says, before he starts a conversation, if you ask him a question, before he starts answering you, once he says, All right, David. All right, so but
so I'm going to start from the older ones. I mean, we've done a lot of things, but I'm taking the key ones that could affect risky health behavior from people. I think the first one would be that there's been this training thing about rumors and faking misinformation around Nigeria signing up for the vaccine trial. And the vaccines are already there in Nigeria. They're going to kill everybody. Of course, that's not true. What Nigeria signed up for is clinical trials of. It's essentially trials for treatment regimens. You understand? So the WHO has approved certain, treatment regimens for COVID-19, and including drugs, basically drugs. An array of drugs. And they're basically testing. I mean, Nigeria is one of the countries where they are testing, including chloroquine and different things that we already know of. But unfortunately, the WHO representative here was misquoted, and she was Fiona Bracker. She was misquoted, and then it went from drugs to for clinical trials of drugs to vaccines. And then you can understand. Why that is very, very tricky. That's very tricky because there's already an anti-vaccine movement or anti-vaccine sentiment spreading around the country. I mean, just this week, we saw fake news that Bill Gates had been arrested in the US, for bioterrorism and things like that. So when you link that to this, or when you link this to that, and all sorts of misinformation, and you create a network of belief or false belief, then you have a case where people, so if there's actually even a drug, people will say it's a vaccine, but people will not take it. So, and what that does is that we are already seeing, and this is good when we talk about disinformation. People think we're talking about continuous hysteria. I'll use this example to build effects or consequences. So when this came out, what we saw within days was that people began to question the treatment that NCDC was giving to people. Remember that people were taking pictures of a particular drug, of a man with a particular drug in his hands. Remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, saying that this is what NCDC is using to treat people, basically paracetamol. People were saying it's paracetamol and all that. And what did that mean to people were saying COVID-19 did not exist? And so we saw what happened in Kogi. So when any piece of misinformation or disinformation creates a distrust in government or established authority concerning any emergency or anything, what that does is that people will either boycott, people will not believe, people might not even take the right decisions when the time comes. Say if it's somebody that doesn't believe that COVID-19 is real because of what he's reading online and everything, say is that person going to have symptoms and go to a hospital? Well, the NCDC had already reviewed its case management guidelines that you don't even, if you want to have a cough or whatever, it's just come to the people who test you. You don't even have to have symptoms, just come, you understand? So if that person has symptoms, do you think that person will go to NCDC? No, because there's already a distrust. And when there's a distrust, people will not believe in government, people will not believe in its activities, they will not believe in its interventions and its schemes, and then what you have is that, we cannot imagine what it is. Then the second biggest one, I'm sure you've heard about this, Bimbo. Yeah. And if you have not, then you should know. So it's like last week Monday, or was this Monday? This Monday. Last weekend into this week. So there were a series of voice notes going around that we had one in Yoruba, we had one in English, we had one in Igbo. That if you live in Lagos, please pack your properties and your load and leave Lagos. Because NCC was going to turn on 5G network in Lagos. That they turned on the network in Kano. That was why they had series of mysterious deaths in Kano. That I don't want to play it. I don't even want to play. I don't want to repeat what he said. But essentially creating panic that people should leave Lagos and go to adjoining states because NCC is going to turn on the 5G. And then, linking the 5G again to COVID-19. Now, people, if you had a neighbor like the example we used, if you had a neighbor who is very susceptible to this kind of information, who decides to pack his load, who decides to I'm packing my load to Ogun State or something. You can imagine what will happen to him on the road when there's a lockdown, whatever it is. So that kind of information can actually even put your life at risk.
Yes. Definitely.
Then the basis of it is that, is there any link between 5G and COVID-19? It is scientifically impossible. I mean, we have. I think I've spoken to more experts around 5G than anything else in my life. You understand? These are radio. These are things that radio waves, low frequency. Yes, the truth is that the Nigerian Communications Commission did a 3-month trial of 5G network, and it ended in November 2019, and they've decommissioned it, and it has not been deployed. So the idea that somebody can sit somewhere, an agency of government can sit somewhere, turn off and turn on, like one very, very malicious switch, and then people have COVID-19 and people die. You can imagine it can cause panic, and it did cause panic. Because you see, it's one the person is the message is, it was spreading on WhatsApp, it was spreading as voice notes, and I'll come back to the issue of voice notes. Now, what that does is that it establishes a causality between 5G and COVID-19, which doesn't exist. Now, people would definitely panic. People will panic.
Yeah.
People were flying into us to say, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And then because there's already, how it's in argument, what you do in argument is that you create a premise, and you conclude. So if one premise is true, and even though the second premise is not true, people can still believe that, maybe this argument is true. So for example, if there's a premise that, people actually did die in Kano mysteriously, which has now been linked to COVID-19. Now, we don't want to die in Lagos like that. maybe I should take a decision or do something. Do you understand? Because it has already been linked to somewhere else, and then we'll go to the 5G in Kano. So that was a very, very big news this week. As I speak to you now, I'm looking at it on our website. The headline is, no, 5G won't infect Lagos residents with COVID-19. It has been shared 1,200 times. Yes, it has been shared 1,200 times. Just our debunk alone has been shared 1,200 times. So you can imagine how big it was. I mean, this was even NCDC had to flag it to us to say, please guys, help us debunk this. And it came then going back to the issue of voice notes. People, you see, voice notes are particularly dangerous for specific reasons in Nigeria.
Okay.
People can use it in local languages. Mm-hmm. It creates anonymity very, very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. Unless I mention my name, it is the chances that people can recognize my voice is going to be very slim. Mm-hmm. It can be done in local language. It can be done in local languages, and I can make all sorts of claims. And so you know how it is. There's a difference between when you write something. And when you say something, you can be more emotive.
Yeah.
With voice. My people, please. I don't want in Jesus' name. Then you go and then you let's mix it with religion.
And then you can even change your pitch. You can change your amplitude and pitch of your voice. I mean, I've seen someone do it in a studio. It sounded totally different, by just adjusting the pitch. It was doing a voiceover recording for something. And it was like, I need to make my voice deeper. And when he finished, I was stunned,
Exactly. So somebody can actually do that. Somebody with basic level knowledge of Adobe or something, just do that. Say a lot of things, make a lot of clips, and it spread. And my voice notes are also dangerous because they are light. They are lighter. Yeah. You understand? They are not like your typical audio messages that you see on Facebook or on YouTube or something. No, these are very, very light. So it can easily be transferred from phone to phone via WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, you can even take it out and you can download it in quick, small MP3 versions or whatever it is, and before you know it spreads. So we've seen more voice note messages in the past 1 week, saying all sorts of things that have been found to be either incorrect, inconsistent, or partly false.
All right. Thank you so very much, David, for another, expository episode of the Fact Sheet. Next week, I'm sure we'll be talking about something, and maybe by then we will have confirmed if Plato actually slept with his wife. All right. Thank you again, David.
Thank you, Bimbo. Thank you very much, Bimbo.